The cortege with the remains of the late Amazulu Queen regent has been on the road all day, heading for her final resting place in Kwanongoma. Queen Mantombi Dlamini Zulu died at a Johannesburg hospital last week. Ziyanda is live at the Zulu Royal Palace in Kwanongoma for us tonight. Ziyanda, good evening to you. Many people watching these proceedings, of course, with the funeral service of the late Zulu King still fresh in their minds, will be making comparisons about whether or not this process of laying the Queen to rest will be exactly the same as that of the King.
It ultimately will be the same, Kathy, in the sense that the remains of the Queen Mother Mantombi Dlamini Zulu will be interred in the early hours of Thursday morning as we stand here and as the sun sets here in the Kwanongoma municipality. Amabutho, to my right, are on standby to receive the cortege at around 3 o'clock. It was passing Piet Retief, where the Gauteng government officially handed over to the government of KwaZulu-Natal, where the remains are now bound for the Kwakhangela Mankengane Royal Palace. Amabutho, of course, being the blanket of the Amazulu nation, on standby to receive the cortege, which is expected to arrive any moment from now. We understand that it had passed Piet Retief, and according to tradition as well, the sun must not set really, and the night must not begin before the remains must be here rather at this palace by the time night falls.
There have been some complaints, in particular from traditional leaders who have also been involved in different processes within the royal households over the decades, who've said, well, they feel that there hasn't been equal treatment here, that the passing of the Queen seems to have been largely ignored, and that the kind of presence of the traditional leaders, even Amabutho, as you've been saying, have been there today, but that they haven't been paying the due respect that has been due to the Queen. From your own understanding of how these processes should flow, and perhaps even from conversations that you've been having with locals, what is the sentiment about all of this?
Well, I think there's several reasons to, and several ways to respond to what you're referring to. The first thing, of course, are those COVID-19 regulations, and you will know that there are strict protocols around the numbers of people who can arrive. And you'll remember that even when the late Amazulu King Goodwill Zwelithini Kabhekuzulu was laid to rest, there were concerns about the numbers then. I think there's been an effort to manage that. But secondly, you know, it's a topic that is being discussed publicly, but has played out publicly in terms of what has been happening within the Amazulu royal household, and that there are tensions there. Now that the regent of the Amazulu nation, someone who was actually bequeathed with ensuring that the succession issue regarding the Amazulu nation was managed, she has now passed on less than 2 months since the Amazulu king perished. And so when we look then at what you're referring to in terms of perhaps then there isn't much gravitas that's been given to this particular ceremony, I don't think that's quite the case actually. We've seen traditional leaders, we've seen Nkosi Mphathisizwe Qhiles are coming to the royal household. We've seen also even leaders from political parties in the same way that we did with the late Amazulu king. And so we're also seeing, we'll be seeing a delegation from the Eswatini kingdom, which is of course where the princess was from before she became the queen of the Amazulu nation. She is the daughter of King Sobhuza II and the sister of the current King Mswati III. And so this is a royal affair really, but of course then we have to maintain those regulations, and as I've mentioned, there is a semblance of managing those tensions within the royal household, which of course would have an impact then on how things play out here on the ground.
Are we expecting those tensions to have any kind of impact in terms of the interment or even the memorial service that's expected later this week?
Not at all. In fact, that's one of the things that one has been trying to ascertain. It doesn't sound like it. Of course, now from after the interment, from tomorrow, the processes will officially be handed over to the government of the Republic of South Africa, and therefore whatever tensions that may be happening within the Amazulu royal household, and remembering that this is not the main palace, this is the palace where the princess lived, and not Kwakheto Mthandayo. We don't expect that there will be any disruptions. In fact, preparations are well underway, not only for where her body will lie in state for the next couple of hours, but also then for the official part of the proceedings for the memorial that's expected to take place on Friday. So no interruptions expected when it comes to that. And we're also expecting another briefing from the Amazulu traditional Prime Minister Mangosuthu Buthelezi tomorrow to give a way forward in terms of the process. But we do know that largely from tomorrow the proceedings will be handled by the KwaZulu-Natal government.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Zianda Ngobo out in Kwanongoma.